Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Thursday, the 21st day of July 2022. I hope you're all healthy and safe today. I hope your family is also healthy and safe, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food and shelter and clothing as well as health are being met today. Blessings on those that work in the healthcare field and those who are the first responders who are out here every day trying to save lives. And those who pick up garbage for us to keep streets and sidewalks and parks clean. And those that make deliveries like food for our convenience. And double blessings on the men and women trying to help deliver and rescue the victims of child molestation and pedophilia. And the victims of pornography and child pornography. The victims also of prostitution and child prostitution. Sex slavery and human trafficking, and double curses on the perpetrators, the perverts, and those profiteers that traffic in this human misery. Finally, blessings on the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and children in the street of the United States of America, and there are millions around the world in similar or worse conditions, and blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. And if you do anything to help, do it. So, I put out some numbers, and I told y'all over the last couple of videos to follow the money in the deal with Donovan Mitchell. We need to follow the money. Everybody's coming with their NBA 2K, their favorite players they don't want to give up, and blah, blah, blah. And I understand all that. But when you're dealing with the Knicks are serious about trying to get Donovan Mitchell. Now, you may not believe he's a superstar. A lot of people expressing that opinion, one way or another, and that's fine. But one thing we cannot deny, he's an all-star. He was an all-star in the Western Conference. One thing we cannot deny is since he's been on Utah Jazz, they've been making the playoffs every year. And they've been having a tremendous regular season schedule. I think one year they were number one in the West. So they haven't been able to cross the finish line, but they've had great success with Donovan Mitchell as their lead player. Him and Rudy Gobert. So and they play really good defense as well, with Donovan Mitchell at the front of the point of attack. So, he could play. All right. So if you're going to go get a guy like that, it's going to cost you something. You're not going to get him for free. All right. So I was telling y'all the other day, and Ian Begley now has verified. I'm not Ian Begley, but when you hear from him, that it's about the numbers, and he broke it down to the penny. He said, the New York Knicks are going to need to send $24.2 million back to Utah to get a deal done. Okay. And what he did really nicely is he outlined deals with, Derrick Rose, and then he outlined deals with, the fan. He outlined deals with Evan Fournier. Now, because Derrick Rose is $14.5 million, you need another $9.5 million to send to Utah. Because Fournier makes $18 million, you need only another $6 million. Now, this is the thing about any deal involving Rose. Now, I put together a trade machine deal involving Rose, but it was a three-way trade with the Lakers. And that was an exception. He's assuming, which I'm going to assume here, a straight deal with Utah. Okay, Utah Knicks. Donovan Mitchell is the prize. Okay, now that being the case, if you're going to trade Derrick Rose to Utah and you're going to include Obi Toppin, then you can get away with two other players or one other player because Toppin makes about $5.5 million. So he did Rose, Cam Reddish, Toppin. But let me just make a caveat here. And we're going to do this by the process of deduction of what we know and logically with the New York Knicks. First of all, Obi Toppin is not going anywhere for two reasons. Number one, I keep telling y'all, Rose wanted Toppin. He is not going to let Toppin go. Number one, even for Donovan Mitchell. And number two, if they're going to trade Julius Randle, Obi Toppin is your starting power forward. And number three, they actually drafted him to become the starting power forward, not knowing that Julius Randle is going to become all NBA. They had drafted Obi Toppin with the idea of him becoming the starting power forward. So now you're so I can eliminate any deal that includes Toppin. So Ian had, let's see, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 deals put up here. And of the 7 deals he has here, he has 3 of them, including Obi Toppin. We can eliminate all of those. So we don't have to look at any deal with Obi Toppin. It's not going to happen. He didn't have RJ in any deal because he already knows the Knicks pulled RJ off the table. This crap about them not wanting RJ is garbage. They want RJ. Leon said no. And that was the end of the discussion. The discussions would have ceased for good if they insisted on RJ. That's the deal. Okay. All this about not wanting to pay an extension. RJ ain't getting no $180 million. He ain't doing that. So this is BS. But anyway, let's go with their excuse. So they don't want RJ. Fine. RJ's off the table. Toppin's off the table. Now, that leaves you, if you're going to trade Rose, and listen carefully, you're going to trade Rose, you're really going to have to add 3 other players, 3 young players. Okay, in the case that what he put here is Rose, Reddish, Quickly, and Grimes. I could tell you right now, that's not happening. We're not sending 3 young players to Utah. That's not going to happen. Okay, they will send 2, but not 3. And so the Rose deal is unlikely going to Utah. They would need Rose's contract to make a LA deal work. Okay, with the Lakers. They would need a Rose contract to make that work. So I don't think they're going to let Rose go in the Utah deal. The rest of the deals include Fournier. And I told y'all because of his $18 million salary, he's going. If they make a deal with Utah, he's going. There's no 2 ways about it. So his $18 million can either go with Reddish and Grimes. That's not going to happen. That's 2 wings. The Knicks are not going to trade 2 wings. They will trade a wing and a point guard. Okay? Reddish is the wing. And why Reddish? Well, because in fact, all of the 3 deals that work are with Reddish. And I told y'all it's because of Reddish's $6 million. Somebody said, well, Danny Ainge don't want to pay his extension. He's not guaranteed to get an extension right now. He got to prove he can earn an extension right now. He might be either on the qualifying offer or traded. But he's a young prospect on a $6 million basically expiring deal. That's why he's going to be in this deal. So you add, if you need $24 million, you got 18 from Fournier and 6 from Reddish. There you go. But they're going to want a young player. Another one. Well, Reddish is a young player, but they're going to want another one. So that it comes down to Quickly and McBride. So either it's Fournier, Reddish, and this is just by process of deduction. So you either going to get Fournier, Reddish, and McBride, or you get Fournier, Reddish, and Quickly. Now, y'all know I favor McBride. I favor Deuce over Quickly. But just looking at it hard in business, Quickly has more NBA experience than Deuce has. He has shown his position. In other words, he has shown that he's a scorer off the bench. And not only that, he has shown he could fill in at a point guard as a backup. At the very least, he has shown that. And so to me, just in terms of his reputation and his experience and being on a deal that he's going to still be on for the next 2 years, $2.3 million. Ainge is going to want Quickly. Okay. And I'm telling y'all, that's why you saw all the Knick brass at the Summer League. They're looking at Grimes very closely and McBride. Because one of those guys may have to be dealt, or if neither of them are dealt, both of them are going to be rotation pieces. And you got to know what you have. Okay. You got to really know what you have here. So that's why I'm thinking it's really going to be Fournier, Reddish, and Quickly. And the reason I'm saying that that's probably the case, aside from what I just mentioned, is, as you all have read too, Utah is interested in Grimes. And I'm telling you, the Don's not giving up 3 young players. He's not going to do that. He's going to give up 2 young players and Fournier. This deal is based on draft picks. Now, let's go to what we heard yesterday. In fact, in this same article, Ian Begley mentioned that Danny Ainge asked for like 7 or 8 picks. Let me give you another guarantee. The Don ain't doing that. And let me give you something else that might happen. He might just walk away from this deal. I'm getting the feeling it could happen, but the reason I'm getting the feeling it could happen because I'm thinking Ainge is going to blink before the Don. Because Ainge cannot go into camp with Donovan Mitchell on this roster. Because Ainge has already let it out the door that Mitchell is on the trading block. And this whole crap about Mitchell not pushing it. Remember that yesterday somebody put Mitchell not pushing the deal? That's BS. To try to cover Ainge's butt if he has to go into camp with Mitchell. So they can say, well, he wasn't pushing his trade anyway. He's glad to be part of the organization. That's what they're trying to say. And for now, Donovan Mitchell's not saying anything because he don't want to ruin the deal. And that's what it would do. So right now, it's all Cooper. He don't want to go into camp with Donovan Mitchell after all of these Knicks rumors. So the Don could sit back and let him try to find his best deal. But the best deal the Knicks are going to give him are those 3 players and some draft picks. Now, the Knicks would be able to give him 5. And how he would do it, either they got 4 as we know that we acquire and we got our own. They can give a combination of, say, 2 of our own and 3 that we acquired, or 2 that we acquired and 3 of our own. I think 5 is the number for Donovan Mitchell. Now, if he give him 3 of ours, that means we keeping the Dallas 2023 pick. We keeping, all of the picks we acquired, well, at least 2 of them. And then we still have our own going forward. But, it's going to be about the picks. And the picks are going to determine if Leon Rose walks away from this deal. That's really what's going to come down to it. Now, another way we talked about, and y'all know, of Ainge, the ripoff artist, getting the picks that he wants is with LA. So if we have a 3-team deal and LA sends a pick or 2 to Utah in this 3-team deal, then they will get the picks that they want, because then they end up getting, let's say they got 2 picks from LA, they can get 3 from us, 2 of our own and 1 of the ones that we obtained, or more. They can get 5 to 6 picks that way, and they can get 4 unprotected, which is what they wanted in the first place. Okay. Now I read though that LA is very reluctant to give up the 2027 and 22 because they sent out so many picks to get Anthony Davis, who is not working out like that. I mean, they did win a summer league chip, which they called the chip because it was in the bubble, but he's been hurt most of the time. So you gotta listen, Knicks Nation, be wary of injury prone players. See, everybody saw Anthony Davis' name and said, oh, let's go get Anthony Davis. You really don't want him looking back on it because he missed more games than you want him to miss. Y'all would be going crazy if he's sitting in street clothes most of the time in the season and in the playoffs, and y'all paying him, $40 million a year. Because that's what LA is doing right now. So they trying to last ditch effort to get Kyrie Irving over there, who's also injury prone, to see if they could win a chip. Or Julius Randle as plan B. That's what Julius Randle is. He's plan B for the Lakers if they can't get Irving, because the Nets are not just going to give Irving away. See, so the plot is really thick now, because the Nets just not giving Irving away. They want draft compensation for Kyrie Irving, as anyone would. And so, and it's no guarantee they can get a deal done. That's why they're looking at Julius Randle as plan B in that scenario. Okay. And so if the Knicks are going to send him to LA, that is Randle, then they're going to start Obi Toppin, and maybe LA can give up a pick or 2 to Utah in a 3-team deal. So that's another way to get this done. But I told y'all the other day, and I'm saying it again, in a deal with Utah, Fournier's guaranteed to be the guy that's going. And Cam Reddish must go with him, because we're not giving up more than 2 young players. And you're going to have to give up a wing, and you're going to give up a point guard, and you're going to keep a wing in the point guard. In this case, it would be Grimes and McBride that they keep. Okay, and they're sending out Reddish and Emmanuel Quickly. That's how this is going to work. All right. All right. Unless Danny Ainge's scouts say we got to get Deuce McBride, he's going to be great, blah, blah, blah. He's 1.2, 1.5 million, and they want him instead of a Quickly. I just don't see that happening realistically, just based on Quickly's performance and the time that he's played. He's a more proven commodity than Deuce is at this time because he's played more. And this is his third season. This will be Deuce's second season. So I believe it's going to be Quickly, Fournier, and Reddish going to Utah. They're going to probably get between 5 and 6 picks going out there. Some of those picks might come from the Lakers if it's a 3-team deal. Also, Fournier and Rose will be gone with Randall if Randall is going to LA. If LA doesn't get Kyrie Irving and the Knicks are sending Randall to Los Angeles, then you're going to see both Rose and Fournier out of this thing. Now, some people, you Randall lovers out there said, Randall's staying, y'all trying to I'm not trying to get rid of him. I'm telling you what was reported. I don't want him here, but I'm telling you what was reported. They're going to trade him to Los Angeles. Listen, he's got the 15% trade kicker. For them to say they could trade him to Los Angeles, he's agreeable to that. He's agreeable to that. And LA's agreeable. This is their plan B. They're looking for Kyrie Irving. But if they can't get him, they'll take Julius Randle. Okay? And Derrick Rose on an expiring $14 million deal. All right? So, if this is going to happen, the Knicks will end up with 2 young players, a point guard, either Quick or Deuce, and a wing, either Grimes or Reddish, but it's going to be Grimes. They're going to end up keeping Grimes, and they're going to still have Obi. So you can have Obi, Grimes, and either Quick or Reddish. Either Quick or Deuce. I'm saying it'll probably be Deuce only because Quickly is the more in-demand talent at this particular juncture of his career. And so, the way I'm deducing this, no pun intended, deducting this, is I'm looking at Fournier, Reddish, and Emmanuel Quickly going to Utah in exchange for Donovan Mitchell. And probably 5 or 6 number ones. And then if you get a 3-team deal, it's going to be Randall and Rose going to LA in exchange for Russell Westbrook, who again, let me just again tell y'all, some of y'all be having visions of Westbrook. Westbrook is not going to play for the New York Knicks. He's not even putting on the uniform. He's coming here to get bought out. The $47 million expiring deal that he represents is going to be hitting off our books next summer, and it's going to represent in part RJ's extension. Okay, in part RJ's extension keeps us below the tax line. That's what that's all about. It's not about Westbrook playing for the Knicks. He's going to get bought out and waived. It's just his salary that we're looking for. And so we get his salary, and when we get it off the books next summer, that pays for RJ's extension that'll probably start in the high 20s and go down from there. Okay, so that's what this is about. It's not about him playing. Some of y'all get all tripped out with the media that don't know what they're talking about. Okay, he's not playing for the 6 man or whatever. He's not playing. Okay, but that's Ian just basically laid out the scenario that I'm laying out in terms of you have to include Fournier and you have to include Reddish. If you look at his scenarios with Fournier, all of the Fournier scenarios include Reddish except the one with Toppin, and I'm not even paying attention to that because I know Toppin ain't going nowhere. Okay, so Toppin is here. And then you got 3 scenarios with Reddish. Reddish and Grimes, Reddish and Quickly, Reddish and McBride. And I can't see them sending both Reddish and Grimes because, again, that's 2 wings. I could see them sending a wing and a point guard. So the wing is Reddish. He represents a couple things: an expiring deal, a young player, and a wing, right? And then, so it's either Reddish and Quickly or Reddish and McBride. And as I said, I come down to it's going to be Reddish and Quickly because Quickly would be more in demand in this type of a deal for Donovan Mitchell than Deuce McBride. And you'll be left with Toppin starting You're going to have a bench of Hartenstein, Jericho Sims, Quentin Grimes, and Deuce McBride. And you'll probably add a guy, like I said, a $5 million MLE mid-level exception dude, whoever that might be. I mentioned Josh Jackson. I mentioned Justin Holiday. Somebody's coming that's going to be filling in on the wing spot for the Knicks at that spot. So I just wanted y'all to let y'all know, because this really deals. So really it comes down to the Don either walking away. And let me tell you, this is distinct possibility that this could happen. Even though I'm feeling like this deal's going to get done, that don't mean it's going to get done. He could walk away. And you know what? If he walks away, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with keeping Julius Randle and just going forward with life. Because we're moving step 3 into year 3 of the rebuild. If they don't meet the price, and that's the price. Let me tell you, that's the price. It's Reddish, Fournier, and Quickly. That's the price. They don't meet the price with the picks. They insist on 7 or 8 picks from us, and we can't get any more from LA. This deal is dead. It's gonna be dead. Okay. And we'll find out soon, and the reason I say we'll find out soon, the Knicks also don't want to go into training camp with this over their heads. So we got to find out from both perspectives, because Ainge don't want to go into September training camp with Donovan Mitchell still on the team. And the Knicks don't want to go into September training camp with this in the air. That's part of the reason I believe they didn't let the media in the Jalen Brunson introduction conference. And I call it introduction conference because it really wasn't a press conference. And the reason they let it, because they didn't want a million questions about Donovan Mitchell. And the media knows that, and they try and act like they don't. But that's what it is. The Knicks don't want to hear another question, any questions about Donovan Mitchell. They don't want to deal with that. They didn't want to take away from Jalen's day, which I'm glad they did it that way. But they don't want this hanging over their head when the season starts. So either the Knicks will come out and say the deal is dead. Maybe we'll revisit it at the deadline, or we got a deal done. And you're going to know it probably in August, because I don't think this is going to go into September. Training camp starts at the end of September. I don't think they're going to let this go into training camp like that. So we're going to know something probably in August, I would think, because both teams have an incentive to either get it done or squash it. And that's where we're at right now. So we're going to see this drama is going to continue, but I'm now prepared to receive either way. Either it's going to be Fournier, Reddish, and Quickly with some picks. I'm saying 5 from us, and maybe they get another couple from somewhere else. Or the Don walks away and says, okay, we'll talk again later, and we're going to start with our team. And I'm prepared either way, because either way, we're going to be all right. Either way. All right. So, and in that case, you're going to see Quentin Grimes starting at the 2 guard beside Jalen Brunson. So, with that being the case, I hope y'all have a good Thursday. Shalom.